Hello and welcome every middle student, especially those who studying for the USMLE exam. My name is Mohammed Hashim, and in today's video we will master statistical test choice, a very tough and challenging topic for your board. So let's get started. First, you have to know that there are two types of data you must extract from your case. The first one is categorical data, which is the data that can be categorized into groups. The second one is numerical data, which is the data that can be expressed in numbers. You have to ask yourself two questions in the case. The first one is what I am changing or comparing, and this is called independent variable. The second one is what's being affected or measured, and this is called the dependent variable. The answer of these two questions will be one of these two data we have already explained. In each case, you have to detect your independent variable by asking yourself what you are changing or comparing. Then you have to detect your dependent variable by asking yourself what is being measured or affected in the case. And if you detect this variable, it's quite easy to choose the type of test. According to this table, if you put the data in the right place, you will master and choose the test right. The independent variable, which what is being changed or compared, can be expressed as categorical data or numerical data. The same for dependent variable. What's being affected or measured can be expressed as categorical or numerical. According to this, if your independent variable is categorical, and your dependent variable is also categorical, so your test will be chi-square test. To memorize this easy, if the independent variable and the dependent variable are the same, starting with the letter C, so your answer also will be a test starting with the letter C, which is chi-square test. If your independent variable is categorical and your dependent variable is numerical, so your answer will be one of these two tests. And to differentiate between these two tests, you have to know the number of categories used to categorize the independent variable. If the independent variable can be categorized into only two groups, so your answer will be t-test. And to memorize this, t for 2, if your independent variable can be categorized into 3 or more groups, your answer will be ANOVA. ANOVA stands for analysis of variance. These three tests are very high yield you will find in each exam. If your independent variable is numerical and dependent variable is categorical, your test will be logistic regression. If the independent variable is numerical and the dependent variable is also numerical, so your test will be correlation. These two tests are much lower yield than the first three tests. So let's apply our rules in two questions to know how we can answer these questions. The first question is a studies conducted to determine the mean level of total serum cholesterol in patients with acute coronary syndrome. A total of 2,500 randomly selected patients participated in the study. One of the study goals is to compare the mean level of total serum cholesterol between male and female patients with acute coronary syndrome. Until here, we can ask ourselves these two questions. What you are changing or what you are comparing between. Here we are comparing the level of cholesterol in serum between male and female patient with acute coronary syndrome. So we are comparing between male and female. Okay, so our independent variable here, or what we are comparing, is the gender, male or female. Can be categorized into two groups, male or female. So it's categorical. So here your independent variable will be categorical. The second question, you have to ask yourself what's being affected or measured. Here we are measuring the mean total serum cholesterol level, which can be expressed in number. So here your dependent variable will be numerical. Your dependent variable is numerical and independent variable is categorical. So it's one of these two tests, t-test or ANOVA. To differentiate between them, we have to look to the number of categories of the independent variable. Here the number of categories of independent variable is 2, male or female. So the answer is t-test for 2. So your answer here is 2 sample t-test. The second question is a group of interventional cardiologists conducted a randomized clinical trial to determine whether telemonitoring has an effect on heart failure outcome among patients recently hospitalized for heart failure. A sample of 1,653 patients hospitalized for heart failure in the previous 3 days was randomly assigned to receive the usual care or undergoing telemonitoring. According to a sequence of computer-generated random numbers, the primary endpoint was a composite of readmission for any reason or death from any cause within 180 days after enrollment. Here we have to ask these two questions. What we are comparing? Here we are comparing between the usual care and the telemonitoring. So we are comparing between telemonitoring and usual care. These are two groups, so your independent variable here is categorical. What's being affected or measured? What is the outcome? What is the end point? The end point of us here is the composite of readmission for any reason or death from any cause. So there are also two groups, readmission or death from any cause. So the dependent variable here also is categorical. According to our table, the independent variable is categorical and the dependent variable is categorical if they are the same and start with the letter C. So your answer will be a test with a C letter, which is chi-square test. Your answer here is chi-square test. And that's it for statistical test choice. You will never hit any question wrong after this video.